Welcome to the Joy Work Show, the podcast that goes beyond the surface of business, right to the heart, to explore the real joy and the stories behind success. Not just the moments of celebration, but the challenges that pave the way for them. Hiya, I'm Diane, and here on this podcast, we know that joy isn't just about the good times. Often, the greatest joy comes right after the greatest challenge. Today, I am joined by someone who knows a thing or two about reinvention, resilience, and dreaming big. The brilliant Laura Wall. From an early career as a professional dancer to building and running her own marketing agency, Laura's story is one of pivots, possibilities, and powerful perspective shifts. In this episode, we explore the often unspoken realities of business. From the pressure to be everywhere online to the temptation of chasing quick wins. Laura shares her hard-earned insights on what really works when it comes to social media marketing, why consistency trumps hacks every single time, and how surrounding yourself with the right people can change everything. This conversation is packed with refreshing honesty, permission to take your time, and encouragement to think bigger than what's in front of you. Whether you're in the messy middle of growing your business or just wondering what's next, you're going to want to lean into this one. But as always, it's so much better to hear from our guests themselves. So let's go. Hi Laura, and welcome to the Joy Work Show. I'm so excited to have you here today, as I know a little bit about you and we are in each other's worlds in small ways, but I cannot wait to hear more of your story and find out more about you and your business. So let everybody know who you are, what you do, and how you got here.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
You're so welcome.
So I will tell you a little bit briefly about myself. My name is Laura, and I run a small marketing agency where I focus on organic social media and paid ads. I think we all in businesses, we just wear way too many hats, and marketing just ends up being like the last thing on our to-do list. And so I just want to help other people to simplify their marketing so that they can show up more consistent and so they can continue growing their businesses without feeling this huge stress of having to show up on social media.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that people talk about a lot. You know, social media does become a bit of a burden for people. But tell us, how did you get here? How did you get to, was it always a dream to have a marketing agency, or is it something that you've grown a love for?
I think it's definitely something I've grown a love for. Growing up, I was dancing, and so I had a big dream of dancing professionally. So marketing is my second career, essentially. For growing up, I thought I was always going to be dancing, and that was my entire life and all my dreams. Unfortunately, I got injured and I had to retire. So I just kind of had to take my life in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
And it was definitely difficult at start. At the beginning, I felt very, very lost and confused after having like one clear path my whole life, and which was kind of like swept away from me. I had to like figure it out all over again. So I actually went back to school. I went to college and I started studying digital marketing. So that's how I got in the space. And I worked in corporate for nearly a decade doing marketing. My last job before I left was at a Fortune 200 company doing social media and paid ads. So I've been in the space for a long time. And even though I miss dancing sometimes, I really learn to grow and love marketing. And I'm so happy that I get to do that for a living now.
Do you think it's so interesting when you find the reasons why people either change career paths or start their own business? So do you, that resiliency through one, being a dancer at all, I imagine it's super competitive. You know, you have to be super focused, super committed. And do you think that resiliency is like an entrepreneurial quality that people need to have when they're starting their own businesses, and the fact that you got that from that dancing, and even then to get injured and be able to positively change your life at that point?
Yeah, I've actually even never thought about it that way, but I think you're so right. And I think that's something that's like definitely helped me to like just keep pushing and keep working hard and know that like hard work does pay off at the end, even though sometimes like you're questioning everything and wondering if it's actually ever going to happen for you. But yeah, you really need that. I think it's a good quality to have to run your own business, definitely.
So what was the decision to leave corporate then? What was it's always interesting to hear what was the either nail in the coffin, the straw that broke the camel's back, or the decision that you made to leave corporate and start doing it for yourself?
I think I always felt out of place in corporate. I always felt like I didn't quite fit in. And I always felt like there must be something more to this. Like I felt very limited, like very boxed in life. And it just didn't really bring me that joy. And I was just thinking like there must be something more to it than this. And then I think also growing up with dancing, I got very used to this mentality that like a lot of dance jobs are gig jobs. You kind of get used to the idea and you grow up knowing that you're not going to have like a 9 to 5. So I think actually that period in life where I was working like a corporate was like a bit strange because that's not what I was like taught growing up or didn't think I was going to do. So I feel like the entrepreneur life definitely fits me better as a lifestyle.
So what is it that you love about marketing? And obviously you're now in organic social media marketing and paid ads. What is it that is the passion behind it?
Yeah, so I'm a very creative person, and that part definitely comes from dancing of just being able to create something. So I just love to create things and like test the limits and like explore outside the box and always try new things. So like that's one part of marketing that I love. It's just like the creative aspect. But then I would say I'm also quite analytical. So you actually get to measure your creativity into numbers. And I think that's really cool to really see like, okay, did my creativity resonate with the audience or like what can I do different? So I think those two combined, it's really like my passion and what's drawn me to marketing.
And it's the same for me because I get totally passionate about marketing. My career has been a 20 plus year career in the direct sales and marketing industry. And I love marketing, but without the figures and the data for me, it just wouldn't be there. There's lots of people who would love to, build the websites and do the colors and do the branding and do all of that. And while that's all lovely, I need to see the end results. I need to see that needle move. I need to see something. So now in my business, I do sometimes find content a bit of a chore, but I then love the difference. So it's that kind of, I love creating. Don't get me wrong. Everybody loves, and if I make a bit of content that I feel really good about, I'm then excited to put it out, but I'm excited to put it out to see the impact that it has. It's like you say, see if that creativity can move the needle the way I want it to or have the impact that I want it to have. And that's the exciting part for me. And without the spreadsheets and the systems and everything else and the KPIs, it's just pretty pictures at the end of the day. Yeah, that's the bit that really excites me too. So why social media marketing? What is it? What is it you love about it? If somebody's listening and thinking, oh, but Laura, I find that, the algorithms, the this, the that, the next thing, what would you say to the grumbles about socials?
I think that we are taught to focus on the wrong things when it comes to social media. And I think we're taught to like focus on how many hashtags we're posting or like what time of day we're like publishing. And I think those are small problems. And I think we're worrying about
What, you
completely
mean
the
that
wrong.
they're not going to like make me go viral overnight? No.
If it only was that easy.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think what I love with social media is the fact that we're connecting to other people and that we're connecting to other people all around the world. And so I think we get a little bit too obsessed with the algorithm and being like, oh no, there's a change or there's like this trending audio I need to jump on. And I think it gets a bit like a chore. So I kind of encourage people to think about social media in a different way. And it should be a place where we can show up as ourselves and really connect with other people. And I think also like we see more and more trends going that way. People want authenticity. People want to connect with real people. And I think also now with the race of like AI and everyone's having ChatGPT like write their caption, it becomes like more and more important to really show up as ourselves in a way that like feels good to us.
And I think it's so important. And I think your marketing does have to be real and authentic. And even if you think about big brands, marketing campaigns, they're tapping into the real stories all of the time. And the ones that have been successful have actually done that for years. And they continue to show real stories. Some of the most prolific marketing campaigns don't even show the product. They tell a story, they create a feeling, and then before you know it, you're buying the trainers or you're going to that supermarket or, so it's not actually about the products. It's about, the transformation or the feeling that you're trying to create. And I think too many people, like you say, on social media, overcomplicate it rather than just showing up as themselves. And yes, of course, there's hacks and tips and trends and everything else. But the one thing you can consistently do is show up as you. If you try and do anything else, it's too hard. It's far, far too hard. And so often your audience does just want to see you, even if you're a product business. They still want to see the person behind the brand, the person building the business, until the business is the brand. And then, of course, you can step back a little bit. You see everybody doing it. But I think that people are more scared. And I think they don't realize the hard work it takes. But the hard work comes from the consistency, and people find that boring.
Yeah, I love that you said that and about the transformation as well, because I think that's a mistake a lot of people do when it's like trying to push their product. But the thing is that no one comes to social media to buy things. I think that everyone already has enough things in their life, but people come to social media, like you said, because they want to, like take part in other people's stories. They want to be entertained. And a lot of brands are doing this really well with like user generated content and now employee generated content to really give like a glimpse like behind the scenes of what those companies look like. And they just create a whole other connection to the brand. But they also let people see this transformation of like, what would my life look like if I purchased from this company? And at the end of the day, that's what people buy. They don't buy the products. They buy that transformation that the products give them.
And it is as you think that if you buy a candle, you're suddenly going to live in your house looking like an interiors magazine. Is that feeling, or whatever the thing that you're looking at and how you want to feel in it, is that feeling that you want to take? And it's exactly the same with service-based businesses. Whatever you're providing, the transformation, yes, you might talk about transformation a bit more than product-based businesses, but it's still the way you're going to make people feel. And when too often when people are doing the marketing campaigns, they talk about the benefits of the thing rather than the benefits and the feelings of the transformation, because people will always remember the way you make feel. Maya Angelou quote, they'll never remember the things you said, but they'll always remember how they felt when they were with you. And that's exactly the same in your marketing brands. So when you talk about social media, we're taking them all in, right? We're taking in all of the platforms. But if a client comes to you and they're like, do I need to do all the things? Do I need to be everywhere at all the times? What is the type of advice that you give them?
I don't think you have to be everywhere. It's difficult to be everywhere. There's so many platforms out there and the audience also differs a little bit. So I kind of want to dig in and figure out who are their audience, what do they sell, and how did they want to sell, and so on. I usually recommend to be on at least 2 different platforms. And that's just because we don't owe our audiences on social media. It's a rented space. And I mean, our accounts can get taken away at any point. I think a lot of people have experienced that, including myself. And my Instagram account got shut down and I could not get it back. Like I could appeal once and then they were like, no, not, you can come to court in California if you want to get it back now.
Ow.
Yeah. So it's very risky to only be in one place, because if something like that happens, like our businesses become very vulnerable. And that's why I recommend at least being in 2 places, because for me, when my account was shut down, yes, it wasn't the greatest experience, but like things just kept on going like usual because I am in more places. So just to kind of like minimize risk, yeah, different people hang out in different places also and want to see different things. It's good to be on at least 2 different platforms so we can kind of like experiment and see and trying to figure out what our people want to see.
Well, that's it. It's figuring out that ideal client, that dream client that you're looking for and where they're going to be and what platforms to be on. And if they're never going to be on Facebook, why are you hanging out there? Just because, and it's quite often when I speak to clients about it, it's making sure that they are not just hanging out in the places that they like or they feel comfortable. It's making sure they're hanging out in the places that their audience are going to be, to be able to, because as you say, you want to get people off of those platforms onto your email list, into your world, because it's rented space that could be taken away from any time that you suffered. I can't believe it really confuses me of like why they take accounts away. And it just feels like it's becoming more and more of a madhouse as the months, the days, the weeks, and the months go on. And I think if you can treat it, like I always say, don't give social media too much power, but understand the significance it can have for your business. So don't give it too much power in that it's the only thing you do for your business, but understand that it's still somewhere to be. If we could tell the marketing giants of the 80s and 90s that we have multiple free platforms that we can talk about our business, they wouldn't believe it. They literally would not believe that this is what has happened. So it's thinking about that as a shop front. But what are you going to do when your customers come in? Do you welcome them into your shop? Do you show them what they could do? Do you ask if they need any help? Do you point them in the way that maybe they could get more of the shop, but away from the space? Or do you just have the shop front and then that's it? So it's thinking about those customer experience and those customer journeys. So you also mentioned that you work with paid ads, and quite a lot of my clients will ask me if paid ads are going to be the solution to all of their problems, that they think, well, if I just had enough money to run ads, then I wouldn't need to worry about everything else. What's your thoughts on paid ads?
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't that be a dream if like paid ads would just like solve all our problems?
Well, we'd all throw money at it, right? If
Yes.
we knew the ROI was even going to be times 2, we would all throw money at it.
Exactly. But unfortunately, it's not that simple. And I think there comes a time where people in their business are ready to run ads, but you should not run ads before you get to the point. So ads will amplify something that is already working. So that's why like starting organically is so good, because it's completely free to test and you can kind of like see what your audience likes to interact with. Like really see every single post as an experiment and just having fun with it. And once you figured out what works, what kind of funnel, how people buy from you, then you can put ads behind something that's already working. And that's just going to like make your funnel so much stronger. You're going to get more eyes on your business and you're going to make more sales. But if you start running ads thinking that they're going to fix everything and you don't really have a proven funnel, it's going to be a total waste of money because you're just adding money to something that's not working.
Yeah, exactly. And thankfully, that is what I tell my clients. But I think people are sold this dream that the only way to promote their business is paid ads. If you're going to be on socials, particularly the meta platforms, then it's only worth it and you paid. And certainly there's some of the behaviors on those platforms that are suggesting that that is the case. But if you don't have the right offer, like you say, the right funnel built, if you don't have people clicking on it already, even if it's just a couple a day, then it's not the right thing to start throwing money at. And I think people also misunderstand the type of ads there are in terms of, do you want to convert for sales, or do you just want people to see the website, or do you just want them to follow a page, or, and I think when they're told that they can run ads for really cheap, they don't realize it's probably a traffic ad, but it's not going to necessarily create sales conversions to begin with.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think also the way that the platforms are set up to run ads, it makes it look like it's very simple. Like you even get recommendations of like, pick this thing, fill this thing out. And then you go live with your ads and you're like, don't quite understand why they aren't working. And what I tell people is like, the thing that you don't get is the whole strategy behind it, because most often you're going to need different ads running at the same time with different goals. You might have like a retargeting ads. If you're running ads for an e-commerce, it's going to be a completely different strategy than if you're running for like a webinar funnel, for example. And I think that's the thing that we don't see. It's the whole strategy bit and how different ads like go hand in hand. And I think also the issue is like if you start running ads too soon, it tends to be that you have a very small budget. And so people put very little money behind their ads and then don't quite understand why things are not working. And there was a time where you could put like $5 in a day for your ads and you would like be blown away with the results, but we're way past that time. And I think that's also an experience a lot of people have, that they put too low budgets and then don't see any results and get frustrated.
Well, that's it. And I think that, like you say, you do have to have the budget there because it eats it up very quickly. And there's learning phases on ads and there's different. So I'd always advise to work with somebody on your ads as well. You might be very good at doing content and getting results yourself, but ads is it's a whole different beast. And you need to kind of understand the cogs behind it and knowing, but it's like anything, it's like knowing what the numbers mean, knowing what each campaign needs, why you would run multiple campaigns and all the in-betweens. And as business owners, quite frankly, we're busy enough. But that is definitely a specialist to get the most out of your money and understand what you were doing. Definitely research and find the right person to help you with that. It's not something to go into blind. And also, please tell people that boosting a post is very different from running ads.
It is very different. And I think it's funny how Instagram will always tell you like this post is performing better than like 95% of your posts, but it always on the like worst performing ones for some reason. And so, yeah, like never boost a post because it's a waste of money. Still to this day, trying to figuring out when you should boost a post rather than setting up an ad. And I've done loads of research and looking at other people in my space, and we kind of all have the same opinion that there is no reason for why you would ever boost a post rather than setting up an ad. And so the thing is that when you boost a post, you're kind of asking for more views or more likes, but you're not going to get any more sales from that. And also, once you set up your ads through the ads manager, you have so much more control than boosting a post. You get more data, you get more options on how you set up the ads. I know like it's tempting to boost posts, and I've tried it myself just to like trying to figure out what's the outcome. And it's like I've never been able to get good results with the boosting, but always get much, much better results from the ads manager. So I don't know, it's there, and Instagram is like, give me your money. But
I think it's just a way to make money because people look at ads manager and go, nope, can't do that, too complicated. So it's a way for people to not invest in help and just think that they're running ads when they're just boosting posts. But like you say, it's just going to get more views, but doesn't get the call to action. You can't specialize anything. It's not obviously experiment. You should experiment with everything, but yeah, it's not, I'd much rather put £2 a day on an ad and see and experiment that way through ad manager than boosting a post. So I tell people to be consistent. I know what consistency means to me on social media. How important do you think consistency is?
I think consistency is important. Like in everything is in life, like if we want to get better shape, we can't just go to the gym one time and be like disappointed when we don't see the results. And I think it's the same with social media. I understand it can be discouraging, especially now when it's just getting harder and harder to reach out. And I think consistency is a big part of that, but we also need to do it with a strategy, because if we're doing like the wrong things consistently, then it gets very frustrating because we will not see the results. So I think I want to encourage people to just have fun with it and see every post as an experiment. And I mean, it's free. So really dare to try different things and like, yeah, don't be like too shy, but just like really go for it. If you really regret it, you can always delete it afterwards. But like really.
That's it. It's like I say to people, because they take it so seriously. And then they're like, oh, but what if I post it and it bombs? Well, if it bombs, nobody saw it, so you don't need to worry about it. And literally, it's about, if it's on TikTok, does it even last an hour? If it's on Instagram, does it last half a day? I don't know what the numbers are on that these days, but it's certainly not long.
No. Yeah, no, and really like I think we all have posts that do bad. I do as well, but I just go like, okay, this is something that I should try out. And then I try it out a couple of times. And then maybe all of those posts do terribly. And then I know that, okay, that does not resonate with my audience. Let me try something else. So I think it's also unrealistic to expect that all our posts should do good. I think if you're there, maybe you're not brave enough. You're not testing like enough things. So yeah, some posts will do well. Some posts will do terrible. I think that's just the way it is.
And I think about consistency as well. What I always say is you need to think about the outcome that you want. Are you posting on social media just to have a holding place so that when somebody looks for you, you're there? So maybe your consistency could be once or twice a week. Are you looking for growth? Well, you probably want your consistency to be more than that because you're competing with so many other people all of the time that if you're not as consistent as them, then they're going to grow quicker just by being seen more. And then there's the people who might do the trend thing or might have, but ultimately, if you resonate with your audience and post consistently that you can do, don't post every day for a week and then don't post again for 6 months. That's not consistency. If you can only post 3 times a week, then post 3 times a week and know that, and your audience will then subconsciously learn that that's when you show up. They won't suddenly be like, oh, where is that person gone? Or why are they not posting anymore? Or they've just posted, but I've not seen them in ages, or I'm not interested in them. You have to start building that. I think people forget that as soon as they see your social media, anything in your world, they're one of your customers, and you have to treat them like that. So you've got to think about what you want your customers to see and how they want you to showing up and what purpose does each post serve. Some posts are literally just holding places. They're not going to get loads of likes. There's no great call to action on them, but it's just to let your audience know something, that you have an event coming up, that something you need to have in your feed that makes the feed make sense. But then you might do another thing that does have lots of likes and has a strong call to action and grows your business off of the platform. So you have to just think about what each kind of post serves, and they can serve lots of different results and different things. Not everything is going to be about selling. And nor should it be, because your audience will hate you if you just go in there and sell all of the time. So if somebody's listened to this and they just want one thing that they can go and look at any of their platforms today and make sure that they are doing, what would you say that it could be?
So I think I would start by like picking 2 platforms and focus on those to start with. Like, especially if you're solo in your business, it's quite unrealistic to be able to be everywhere all the time. And then I also love that you brought up like, what's the purpose of each post? Because it's so important to set goals for what we want to achieve. If we're doing like a campaign where we want to sell, those posts are going to have the lowest engagement. But we're not looking for likes and comment. We're looking to drive people off the app and have them buy something. So it's very important that we always are very clear with what we want with our posts and measure accordingly, because otherwise we're going to get disappointed. But I think if I have to like leave with one thing, and that is really dare to be yourself and show up as you. Like, take a break from trying to find trends to try and figure out what everyone else is doing in your space, and just think about like what brings you joy and how do you want to show up online, because people are going to resonate with that. It's going to feel fake and forced if you're just trying to do what everyone else wants to do. And also, if you're doing what everyone else wants to do, what's the point of people coming to your account, right? You need to offer them something that they cannot find somewhere else. Dare to be different, dare to do something unique, and dare to just have a good time and like experiment with different things.
Definitely. That is so, so true. And I think if you lead with that, you won't far go wrong on whatever platform you're trying to do it on.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you know, I ask everybody who comes on the podcast 3 questions all around their joy and what joy looks like in their world. And the first one is your joy spotlight, a favourite thing that shaped your life, business, or work.
Yeah, so I think for me, this is an idea, and my idea is to really dare to dream big. Like, dream big. If you like, you need to go to someone and like tell them about your dream, and they're gonna be like, you're insane. Like, then you're at the right level. Anything below that is like too small of a dream. And for me, for example, when I was younger, I dreamt of moving to New York and dance professionally. And I grew up in Sweden, so that was far away, and it felt like this unachievable like crazy dream that was out there that I was never going to get to. But 2 weeks before I turned 19, packed my life into 2 suitcases, moved to New York and danced. And it was just like wild how that dream came true. And then I had a second big dream, and that was to run my own business. I wanted more freedom in my life, and I just wanted to do work that really lit me up. And for a long time, that just felt something that was impossible to achieve. It felt so far away. I think I felt very stuck, and I saw all these other people like leaving corporate and starting their own businesses. And I just felt like it wasn't happening for me. But a year ago, I quit my job, sold my apartment, and moved to a different country. And now it's nearly been 1 year in business. And it's just so crazy to me. And I feel so grateful that I've been able to dream so big and had two of my dreams come true. But I think also when we put it out there, then we also start working really hard to achieve those dreams. So for me, it's like really daring to like dream big because they might actually just come true.
And that's so, I mean, literally with my clients, and when they say tell me what their dream is, and they get really irritated and frustrated with me at first because I'm like, go bigger, go
Yeah.
bigger, go bigger. Because that bit at the start when you said you literally want to tell somebody and for them to say that you're crazy, you want more people in your life saying you will never do that, you need to go smaller, than you have people saying, oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea, I think you'll have it by next month. But you want to, because the bigger you dream, like the more the belief is built into your body that tells your body and your mind that you can do these things, that you can dream big. And then for you to have achieved like the biggest dream, I mean, to dance in New York is massive on anybody's platform, on anybody's scale. And you've now told yourself that you can do that. And if you can do that, you can do anything. So you're constantly building this belief and building those belief blocks within you that even when, and that's when I asked you at the beginning about the resiliency, because I don't think anybody can have a business without being resilient, because you'll just crumble at the first failure, at the first no, at the first rejection. And to go through something so formative for you and traumatic in your life and change it and positively and now show up and like, this is now you said it was your second passion. So it's not just like, well, I had to find a job and I didn't really want to work for anybody else, so I had to do this to do it. It was like, no, this is my second passion, this is my second love, this is my second go at life. It might not be what I saw, but I got a taste of it, and now here it is. And I think if you dare to dream as big as you dare, you're going to go somewhere great. You might not end up there, but you're going to end up somewhere pretty great. You'll shoot for the moon, you'll land amongst the stars. It's, the old cliches are a cliche for a reason. And the reason everyone talks about them is because they're the best. So I absolutely love that you continue to dream big, And I love that that was what changed your life. So the second one is inspired by joy. It's either a person or a mentor or a book that changed your life completely.
I think to change our lives, it's very important to surround ourselves with people that are already where we want to go. And I know a lot of people talk about this and it's like, yeah, whatever, but it's actually so extremely important. And I have a funny example that a few years ago, I was in corporate and it was time to like look for my next job. At the same time, I started to hang out with a new group of friends, and they were all having jobs in an industry that I knew nothing about and never saw myself working in. But I was like, well, they're cool. We're friends. Like we can all do different things for work. And after a couple of months of like spending time with them, hanging out quite a lot, I actually got a message on LinkedIn with a job opportunity in that exact industry that I never thought I would have worked in. And so it's pretty wild. And I think
That's like universe stuff right there. That's
yeah.
absolutely.
So I think it is so important to really like maybe even be a bit careful with who we surround ourselves with, because most likely you're going to end up like where they are. And so ask yourself if the people around you like are where you want to go. And I think that combined with people want to give you advice, especially when you start your journey to become an entrepreneur. And I think everyone comes from a good place. Like they want to see you succeed, they want the best for you. And so they're trying to give you advice. But we need to think about if those people are where we want to go, because they're only able to give you advice like within their knowledge. And if they're not entrepreneurs that are where you want to go, they might give you advice that's not the best for you. And so I think those things go hand in hand. Yeah, taking responsibility, I guess, for who we surround ourselves with. And also, if I should pick one person, one mentor, I am going to pick my boyfriend, because without him, I would not be where I am today. And I would probably not have taken that leap of faith of just quitting everything and leaving, because once I quit my job, I definitely did not have enough money. I was not having enough clients in my business. Like I could not even afford groceries. And I know people will tell you like, build your business and then quit your job.
Yeah.
But I don't know how those people do it, because I
No.
tried that for a long time and it's very, very difficult. And so just having that person that like always believed in me, even when I wasn't believing in it, when I was having hard days where I just felt like, you know what, this is not for me. I tried and it's not working. I'm going to have to get another job. But he was always there to encourage me and motivate me, and always told me that I was doing a lot better than what I thought I was. And I think we just need that one person. And I think also having him kind of be 10 steps ahead of me and having him be where I want to go, and knowing that I could always go for him to advise and feel like I could fully lean in and trust the advice that he gave me. And it's just like a very grateful situation to be in, to just be at home and just feel so extremely inspired by another person, and just kind of being able to look up to them and feel like it's possible for me also, because he did it and I can get his advice and kind of follow his path to also go where he's.
I think it's so important, and I think we underestimate who, like your first point of who we surround ourselves with, because there's a quote somewhere about that if you sit in a room with, like if there's employees on a scale of A, B, and C, and if you sit with self with C's, you're 33% more going to lower yourself, you know, your development, your effectiveness, your productivity, all through being with those C employees. But if you're with the A employees, it's something that can go up by 60% because you're constantly striving, you're constantly trying to be better. And I think when we surround ourselves with people who are positive and give us energy rather than taking the energy away, I think it can literally make or break you as a person. Or even as teenagers, when you think about like falling in with the wrong crowd, that could send you on a completely different path than if you were with people who were talking about their future and what they wanted to do and what they wanted to be when they were grow up, and committing to those pathways. And it's just so, so, so important, because if you don't have those people around you who are giving you energy, they're taking away, you've not got as much to give to the areas of your life that you want to give those areas to. And it's so lovely hearing about a supportive partner, because I couldn't have done my business without my supportive partner. And so often, like you said, when you're having your bad days, and there's been days literally where I've been like, that's it, I'm done, I'm giving it up, I can't. And he's been like, you can't. He's like, Dan, I can see the good around. I can see what you're trying to do. I can see the cogs are turning. I can see the arrows coming. You've just got to keep going. And I'm like, how can you say that? How? He says, because I can just see things that you can, and you just have to keep going. Whereas so often you hear stories, particularly about women, who they're questioned so much, oh, you need to go and get a job now, or you're failing, And that's not necessarily about whether business is doing right or doing wrong or doing well or not, but it's about of people trying to keep them small and keep them where they want to be, because that's more comfortable for them, and it's so important to have that support system, and that support system that sees your magic, because business is so hard. And we can do hard things, but sometimes we need somebody else to remind us we can do hard things. And there was once a video of something, and it was a woman saying, I don't understand women who say, I need to go and ask my husband first. She says, I turn up with three crocodiles behind me, and he doesn't ask where they're from. He's just like, oh my God, I better go and build a tank then. And that's kind of, we're all in, and that kind of, every time I see it, it really makes me laugh. because I think that is absolutely, he doesn't know what I'm going to bring home on a day-to-day basis, and he's just all in on it, and it's so lovely to hear those stories back again.
Yeah. I think I just wanted to add to that. I think a lot of people say that the most important decision we make in business is our partner. And I think there's so much truth in that, because I love to hear your stories as well and how you have a very supportive partner. So I think we both know what a huge difference it can make, and how I don't want to say impossible, but made it very, very difficult if you don't have that in your life. I've been in rooms where people have asked me why I was trying to start a business. I already had a job, and I was like, yeah, this is not a room I want to be in, because
Yeah.
this is not helping me.
No, no, and that's it. And luckily enough, I was brought up in a house where, when I was very young, both my parents worked, and then my dad created an opportunity for himself, self-made man, very successful, made lots and lots of money. And my mum gave up work once he started to be away more and work more and earn more money and things like that. But people say to me, and even my mum herself said, well, I gave up. And I'm like, no, you never. You supported everything. You were the one that made everything happen. She even told him when he went on the training course for the thing that if he came home, she wasn't going to be there because he had to complete the training course. And had he came home, he wouldn't have done all the things he went on to do. So it's having that support system. And I don't think he could have done the things he did, build the family, built the businesses he did, had he not had that supportive partner at home. It's lovely nowadays that it's both male and female. It's not as much gender bias. There's still, being a woman and being a mum is a whole nother thing, but there's not as much gender bias. But you have to have that support. You have to have somebody. Go back to your first point about dreaming big. You have to have the person that kind of goes, that is crazy, but let's go. Not that is crazy. Can we come a little bit smaller with that now? That doesn't help anybody. And you have to have that, they have to have that belief in you that you can do, or let's face it, you're just going to be arguing about time and money and everything else all of the time. And it can literally, I believe businesses have been built on the people who are making the rest of the life work.
Definitely.
And I think when you look at every successful man, in the traditional heterosexual relationship, there is a much more successful woman behind him keeping it all together. That's definitely what I think. So the last one is the joy killer, the one thing you would like to see removed from the world for good, and the world would be a better place.
Yeah, so because I'm in the online space and in social media, I have to pick the so-called business coaches that promise you 10K months, or these people that promise you like you're going to make 6 figures by working 2 hours a day. I think it must be a very tough time to be a legit business coach nowadays, because there's so many out there that are trying to scam you. So many people that have, no education or no experience around it. We see like a lot of very, very young people that are like 19 and call themselves a life coach. I'm like, in what,
You've not lived, hun. You've not lived.
No. And so it's just, I think it's very frustrating to see that, because they set up very unrealistic expectations. And the problem is that they're very good at selling, like extremely good at like manipulating people. So a lot of people fall for it because they sell them this big dream that most people want, but it just sets people up for being like very, very disappointed. And I think that's very, very sad. And I think this thing would also like work as little as possible, make a lot of money. Maybe there comes a point where you kind of built your business to the point where you have other people running the things and you can step back and work less. But you're not going to build your empire by working 2 hours a day on Instagram. Like it's not happening for anyone. And also if I like look at myself and the people I surround myself with, every entrepreneur is absolutely obsessed with their businesses.
Mm-hmm.
They did not start because they only want to work 2 hours a day. They started because they want to build something they love and build something that's meaningful. And I see all these people around me that like running around, and I'm like, maybe you should slow down. And they're like, oh no, I just launched this new thing. It's like these people just cannot stop. They just like are so obsessed and they just want to keep building and creating things. And so if you only want to work 2 hours a day, then I don't think entrepreneurship might be the right thing for you.
No, and I don't see anybody around me that is real who is doing that. And I have people in my feed who are just starting out, and I have people in my feed that have made millions. And yes, the people who have made millions have choice in their life, and they can go on holiday at the drop of a hat, and they can go and do other things. But you also see them, if they've gone on a holiday at the drop of a hat, they still have commitments to their business. So they're still showing up in their business. They might just be doing it from a tropical place, but wouldn't we all love to be doing that? And then you have them when they absolutely have what I would call hustle mode, where you do have a couple of weeks in your business where you're working all the hours, you're going all in, but it is because you're launching something or you're delivering something new. But as long as your business isn't set up that that's what you're doing day to day, or you would burn out. But there's times in your business that you're working harder than you liked when you set your business up. But you're certainly not ever there'll be days that I work 2 hours a day. I have days I don't have childcare. I have days I go and spend time with my children, or we go on holiday and we do things. And I will only do 1 or 2 hours that day. But then there's days that I work 8, because it's about balance and it's about building a life I love. And I am obsessed with my business. So I do enjoy working on my business, not all areas, but I don't enjoy everything 100% of the time, even the things that I do enjoy doing. So I think it's about, and the messaging is so dangerous. And I think if you're looking at investing in a coach, then you have to look at what their transformation is going to be, what their skills are, whether it is that they've worked in business and built businesses, or whether they actually have a proper accreditation, and not a silly accreditation, but a proper accreditation that gives them the skill set. Because I do believe that if I want a coach to help me build £1 million business, I don't think they need to have built £1 million business. I think they just need to have the skill set to get the best out of me to help me build that £1 million business. There's football managers that haven't been footballers. There's lots of different people who can be coaches without going through, but I still want to know that they've got the goods to get out of me what needs to get out. And I think it's just really dangerous. And I would never work with anybody who literally just said, I'll get you to 10K months. How can you? You don't even know what my business is.
Right.
You don't even know how many products I would need to sell to get to 10K months. What does that, how can you blanket put that out there? If they tell me they're going to help me make more money and then we dive into the details, great. But don't tell me that you're going to get me to that figure or this figure or whatever it may be. And but I think for business coaches, they just need to be really, really clear on how they're going to help you get there, because ultimately you'll only get them anywhere if they're willing to do the work. There's no quick fix. And unfortunately, in the online space, I see too many people looking for that overnight success. And it doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't, unfortunately.
It doesn't exist. And all you need to do is go and look at the people who you might admire or might think, oh, I want to earn their money. And all of them will tell you it wasn't an overnight success. We might only see them at the peak of their success when they come into our world, but it wasn't overnight. Generally, they've been going for like 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. It's never, I was lucky enough. They might see success within two years, but not the success that we see them at. But it's a complicated conversation. It is a really complicated, and obviously being a strategist, mentor and coach myself, it does, but I never make monetary promises, because
yeah, and I love that. And it's the same thing with people ask me, how many followers are you going to get me? And I'm like, I don't make any promise. It's the same thing, because I cannot guarantee you there is.
But also, what does that even mean? How do they know followers is going to give them money?
Exactly.
Like they could have 1 million followers and nobody buy off them. They could have 1,000 followers and have 100 sales a month. It's all these non-tangible things that people put such importance on. And I know on Instagram it used to be, if you got to 10,000, you'd get all the access to all these, but times are changing and things are shifting. And ultimately, if you're in a business, you want to sell. So you don't want a follower to follow. I don't want 1 million followers and nobody engaging, because that would be pointless. same, but I also know I can't just have 100 because that's not going to get me anywhere. It's just about like going back to that. What is the purpose of you being on there? What do you want to achieve out of that? What do you want to, and you can't make those tangible promises because there could be somebody that's going to get lots and lots of followers because they do lots of daily life reels and how-to reels and everything else. But there might be somebody else who just does beautiful product photography who might not get as many followers, but they sell more because it's what people are looking for from them. So, there isn't a one answer for all. There isn't a one answer for all, but it's just get the experts in your business you need to get you to that next level. And that expert is going to look different at different stages of your business.
Yeah.
You should never just need one business coach.
Yeah, I love that. Exactly. For different seasons of your business. And I also love what you said about that freedom. Like some days you will work 8 hours and some days you will work 2. And I think like that's one of the beautiful things about running your own business, that you can do things that way.
Mm-hmm.
But like you say, people don't see it. Like we like to travel a lot. And so I think if you follow me on social media, it looks like I'm just like going to all these nice places, but people don't see that I tend up working when I'm at those places as well. And like I went on a ski trip in January and I was skiing all day and it was beautiful. But then I set up until 1 working. I mean, that's not the case every time, but that happens. And not everyone sees that. It's like I tend to work more when I'm at home and then a little bit less when I'm traveling usually. And that kind of like balances it out. But I think it's just so beautiful that we can pick how we want it to look like, that we have
It's
that.
so lucky, isn't it? So lucky. There's so many tools that we have that make that possible. But
Yeah.
what people underestimate is the commitment and the choice.
Right.
There's too many people not willing. They'll be like, but I'm on holiday. Like, yeah, but I'm on holiday because I have this flexibility and this freedom. So for me to go and do that, then I need to do a couple of hours tonight. And if I want to ski all day, I'll need to forego the après ski a couple of times. And it's those decisions that we have to make, but people don't see those decisions being made. They just see all the nice bits, and quite rightly so, but they have to understand it is a commitment, and it's what you commit is what gets you the results, and a commitment to the consistency, because you can't decide, oh, I'm on holiday, so I'm not doing anything, and then come back and complain that your business didn't grow. If you're not bothered about that, then fine. But you make a choice of the impact and the growth that you want to have. And the actions that you take will give you the results, whether the actions are small or big. Completely up to you. And it's just about putting the boundaries in place. I knew I started out to pick the kids up from school, have some time with them, have the days with them, and that is working. But it's also meant I've had to sacrifice events I can't go to, networking I can't go to, saying no to some clients because my time is finite, as is everybody's, but mine is, slightly more. And I've had to teach myself to be patient and teach myself that my business might not be going as fast as I wanted it to because I've made different decisions. And that's quite hard to teach somebody who used to do 80, 90-hour weeks. But I started my business for things to be different, not to be the same. And it's just reminding yourself, and that isn't always easy either.
Yeah.
But we are so lucky we live in a world that we get to have choice.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And like you say, I think we all end up having to sacrifice things. And when you look at those like guaranteed 10K months or only working 2 hours, like it's so far from reality. It doesn't look like it's hard work, and it's balance and it's prioritizing, and it's saying no to things we want to do for the bigger purpose of things we're trying to achieve. And none of those things are shown.
No. It's the work that people don't get to see that actually moves the business. That's the, that is the kind of difference. But if they want to work with us, they can come and find us and we'll show them.
Exactly.
So on that note, if people do want to come and find you, Laura, and find out more about you, where should they come?
They should come and find me on Instagram. It's Laura Wall. You find me on Instagram, on Threads. And you can also find me on LinkedIn. Same, it's Laura Wall. Those are the 2 platforms where I spend the most of my time on.
Okay, great. Well, all the links will be in the show notes, so you'll be able to just go and click and find Laura straight away. And before I go, and I let you go, I always ask one final question, and that is, What joy legacy do you want to leave behind?
So I want to leave behind the joy of possibility, the feeling of realizing that you can build the life and the business that you dream of on your own terms. I want people to feel like they can create something meaningful and joyful without following someone else's rules.
I love that. Even just the joy of possibility. I'm just going to leave it there because that is so beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me today, Laura. I really, really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
I hope you enjoyed that beautiful and honest conversation with Laura, and one that I think so many of us in the business world need to hear more often. Here are my 3 biggest takeaways from today's episode. Consistency beats cleverness. You don't need to reinvent the wheel every single day. Showing up with honesty and heart, even when it's not perfect, builds real connection and trust. Support systems matter, whether it's friends, mentors, peers, or a community like the Joy Work Club. Who you surround yourself with directly impacts your resilience and your ability to keep going. And dare I say, even the ability to raise yourself, to be braver, to be bolder, to have greater self-belief. Dreams evolve, and that's a good thing. Laura's story is a beautiful reminder that what feels like a setback, what feels like a failure, and what may have stopped somebody in their tracks can often be a redirection into something even more aligned with your purpose, something even more aligned with the dream life that you're planning to build, or the dream life that you want. You just have to be open to it. If today's episode lit a fire under you or gave you that much needed permission to slow down or go deeper or be braver or dream bigger, I'd love for you to share it with someone who needs it too. And don't forget to follow or subscribe, leave a review, or tag me over on Instagram to let me know what landed with you. Every share, every like, every follow, every subscribe means I do a happy dance, and just means that so many more people can find us here at the Joy Work Show. And if you're ready to surround yourself with the kind of support and strategy that fuels real growth, then join us in the community in the Joy Work Club. It's free, and it's where these conversations can continue to happen. Until next time, keep showing up, stay grounded in your joy, and remember, you don't have to go fast, you just have to go true.